Here on Jimmy at the Crossroads, we always like to talk with newsmakers when we can, and that's part of the reason why I am very pleased to welcome back to Jimmy at the Crossroads. We haven't had him on in a few months, but it's about time we brought him back. U.S. Senator from Colorado, Cory Gardner, joins us here on the program. Senator, good to talk with you, sir. Welcome.
Hey, good talking to you. Thanks for having me, Jimmy.
Thank you. So I want to jump right into a few different topics of the day. I want to talk about the state of your race for United States Senate here in a few minutes. But first, there's a big debate going on in D.C., a lot of backroom conversations, but now things are out front too, on what to do in regards to the economy as we're still trying to address this economic malaise due to the coronavirus pandemic. The HEALS Act was just introduced this week in the United States Senate. What do you make of the legislation?
Well, look, this is going to be a starting point of conversation about what we need to do to address three primary things, a filter that I look through to make decisions on every action we take when it comes to this pandemic. Number one, are we stopping the spread of the coronavirus? Are we flattening the curve? And we need to take measures to do those two things. Secondly, we need to make sure that we're helping individuals, people who are out of work, they're sheltering in place, unable to go to work, they've lost their jobs, making sure that they're okay. And three, what we can do to make sure that businesses are able to get their doors back open, people back to work. We have to do all three things at the same time. You don't do one and then two and then three. And so that's what I'm looking at, and that's how I'm analyzing this legislation. But it's going to have to come out of the Senate with bipartisan support. That's just the nature of the Senate. And I look forward to helping the people of Colorado based on those three parameters.
And so, Senator Gardner, we're talking as well in the Republican proposal of $1 trillion. The Democrats want to spend even more in the House proposal. I mean, we already have spent multi-trillions on this pandemic and government responses. What do you make of the budgetary implications of this and how we can even afford it?
Well, it's a huge concern, right? I mean, we know we had a budget challenge, a deficit problem, a debt problem going into coronavirus. And certainly spending more money to get out of it makes that even more challenging. But if we don't have an economy that gets moving again, if we have even more unemployment, if we have businesses that close and don't reopen, how will we ever pay back what we spent even before coronavirus, let alone what we're doing in the middle of it? So we have to right now undertake the best efforts we can to get this country moving again, to get our schools safely open, to provide solutions on a vaccine and treatments and therapeutics, to make sure businesses are able to get their doors open, to rehire people again. So we have to make sure that we don't create disincentives to work. We have to make sure that we create incentives for businesses opening again and making sure that we get through this together. So, government said shut down. They did it out of love for their neighbor and their community and to stop the spread of coronavirus. Now we have a responsibility to get it moving and back open again.
Senator Cory Gardner, one of the questions that people have been discussing is the unemployment provision. The previous CARES Act had $600 a week that was given additional to the basic unemployment amount to people. Now the Republican proposal, the HEALS Act, is $200. Democrats are saying that's not nearly enough. What's your take on that? Because we have seen this show to be a bit of a disincentive to work. Some people saying, I'm making more money on unemployment than going back to work.
Yeah, I think both Republicans and Democrats alike want to make sure that we're helping people in need, but not creating an unfair competition between the government and the private sector. So let's continue to help those people who need it. Let's create jobs and get people into the workforce without a disincentive. The people of Colorado want to work. People who don't have a job right now, they want to work. But let's make sure that we don't put the government in the place of the private sector in terms of unfair competition.
Now, Senator Gardner, one more thing on the economy and the implications here of this legislation. When you have the government trying to figure out, okay, we give money to businesses for the Paycheck Protection Program, maybe enhance that some more. You've got the unemployment provisions. You've got a variety of different aspects. How reliable are these programs, do you think, in helping us to get the economic gears rolling again? Or is this more of a relief package right now than a stimulus package?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, you've got the sort of the stimulus in terms of helping individuals with costs that they may have incurred or ability to go out into the marketplace and spend money that they have otherwise decided not to because they're able to. They feel more comfortable doing that. We also have the Paycheck Protection Program expansions in this. Under certain circumstances, a loan that has already been issued under the Paycheck Protection Program, you could go back and get a second draw on that loan. to help you meet even more expenses going forward if you're having additional challenges in this economy. So it is sort of relief for that business. It's also stimulative in terms of getting those dollars into the economy. So I think this bill is trying to create both the fronts an answer for what we have to do to get this country moving again.
Again, Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado is our guest here on Jimmy at the Crossroads. One bill on a different topic that you helped to spearhead as the lead co-sponsor, the lead sponsor in the United States Senate, is the Great American Outdoors Act. And I wanted to give you a moment to tell us about this important piece of legislation, because one of the things that, as I've been digging into it, that I really liked is that you're not raising taxes, you're not creating new funding sources, you are funding existing programs more, dealing with national parks and otherwise, and using existing revenue sources and some pots of money that haven't been applied in one place or another, but are available right now. Tell us about the Great American Outdoors Act.
Yeah, Jimmy, thanks for that. The Great American Outdoors Act is the most significant conservation accomplishment in over 50 years. It's the biggest conservation victory for this country in 55 years. And so we do it without costing the taxpayer money. We do it by using dollars that are generated from offshore oil and gas revenues. So we use a resource and we take money from the royalties generated for the federal government, and we actually put it toward the protection, the conservation of other resources. It just makes sense. Ronald Reagan decades ago had decided that we needed to make the Land and Water Conservation Fund permanent and to make sure that it's fully funded. We had not done that until now. And so the money that we're putting into our parks to catch up with the maintenance backlog in our national parks is significant. Just in Colorado, we have about $250 million in need for maintenance backlog just on the national parks. That's Rocky Mountain National Park, Great Sand Dunes, Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park, and beyond. So, that's going to create jobs. It's going to create opportunity. And we did it as Republicans and Democrats alike because we understand and value our great public lands.
One thing you mentioned, Democrats and Republicans alike, Senator Gardner, one thing that's notable about this is the wide bipartisan support that you were able to garner both in the House of Representatives after the Senate passed it and, of course, the Senate, which was up first.
Yeah, we did. So it's a great deal of bipartisan support. I think it passed with 75 votes out of the Senate, 310 in the House. Republicans and Democrats who voted to make it happen. But it took the president as well, a willingness by the president to sign it. It took Senator McConnell willingness to bring it to the floor, to spend nearly 2 weeks of floor debate on the Great American Outdoors Act. So this bill stands on the shoulders of a lot of people who made this happen.
Now, finally, I know we just have a few minutes left with you, Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado. You are known as an embattled Republican senator from Colorado because you are in a very difficult race for reelection in the state of Colorado. Of course, there are a number of U.S. Senate seats up. Colorado is one of the main focal points. You're up against former Governor John Hickenlooper. And while you had been trailing more for a time, we just saw today a morning consult poll, or just this week, a morning consult poll that shows that you are closing the gap in on Governor Hickenlooper, who again is challenging you as the Democratic nominee. How do you assess the current lay of the land with the race, Senator Gardner?
Well, look, a year ago, John Hickenlooper said that he would make a lousy senator, and he's worked very hard the last 12 months to prove himself right. This is a governor who became the first governor in the history of Colorado to be charged by the state's ethics committee with a violation of our Constitution. He's the first Coloradan in history to ever be held in contempt for refusing to go to his own ethics trial before the Independent Ethics Commission. So, I think that shows you in those two examples what kind of a leader John Hickenlooper believes himself to be, somebody who's above the law, somebody who thinks that he is not accountable to the people of Colorado. And to make things worse, he's decided that he would charge you and I, the taxpayers of Colorado, the legal fees that have been incurred as a result of his violations of the state constitution. So I think Coloradans see through that. They want somebody who's gotten results. They want somebody who's gotten things done for the state. And that's what we're going to be talking about over the next several months as we get to November. The results, the accomplishments, the hard work that I continue to do day in and day out for all four corners of our great state.
What's going on with the debates situation? I was reading this week about how Governor Hickenlooper doesn't really want to go toe-to-toe with you on the debate stage until October.
Well, look, we've challenged Governor Hickenlooper to 5 debates. I think maybe today he agreed to one in Pueblo. I hope that there's more that he agrees to. We've set 5 not as a ceiling, but as an opportunity for the people of Colorado. I hope that we have them across the state, not just in the Front Range, but in Western Colorado. Club 20 is sort of it's the Cadillac of political debates in Colorado. It's an opener. It's the opening pitch of the campaign. And I hope that he won't be afraid to share with the people of Western Colorado his views on the state. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the work that we've done in every part of Colorado to make it better and to create more opportunity for our state's great citizens.
Senator Gardner, just a real quick final question, because I know we got to let you go. What should people outside of Colorado know as they watch this U.S. Senate race about what's happening in Colorado?
Well, I think this is a race about, believing in Colorado and believing in this country. I believe in Colorado. I believe that when you get government out of the way and let America work, we can accomplish great things. I believe in making sure that we don't just benefit some people, but we work hard for all people, that the Western Slope, the Eastern Plains deserve a strong voice and somebody who fights for it just as much as we do somebody from Denver. I'm the only statewide elected official who lives more than 30 miles away from downtown Denver. This state deserves a diversity of ideas, opinions, and somebody who knows what rural life is like, somebody who knows the challenges of farming and ranching, somebody who values the energy industry in our state and doesn't think that government ought to be able to fire them and send them through some kind of a government re-education camp so that they can they can go into a job that the government wants them to go into because it likes that job better. This is about freedom. It's about opportunity. It's about creating a stronger Colorado because I believe in it. And that's exactly what we represent and why we will win in November.
So don't count Cory Gardner out in this U.S. Senate race.
Well, look, there's no counting that matters until the votes are counted. And that's what I'll remind everyone.
Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado, great to talk with you, my friend. Thanks for taking the time today.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Once again, that was Senator Cory Gardner joining us earlier here on Jimmy at the Crossroads. Fascinating times in which we live, and Colorado is offers no shortage of fascinating stuff for politicos to study and explore. And it'd be interesting to see what happens come November of this year in this state from which I'm broadcasting, of Colorado. Thanks for watching this clip from Jimmy at the Crossroads. You do not want to miss a minute of engaging, intelligent talk. Subscribe today to the Jimmy at the Crossroads YouTube channel, and you'll be sure to catch our live broadcast. I appreciate your support.
I got Jimmy at the Crossroads, making sense out of no sense. Yeah.